Welcome to another episode of the Rocky Garza Show. I am your host, Rocky Garza, and today you are in for a treat because we are talking about that the shoulds are killing you, part one. What do we mean by the shoulds are killing you? I am so excited to dive into this and really look at how the idea of all the things we should do can potentially be wreaking havoc on your day-to-day life. As we get ready to get started, I want to remind you, as always, if you want to keep up with what we are doing and you are interested in attending our next free virtual event, head over to rockygarza.com/achieving more. That's rockygarza.com/achieving more, and you can stay up to date there with our next virtual event. We would love to have you join us. So make sure, if you like what you're hearing, you're interested in really looking at how do I achieve more than success? How do I really understand who I am and what I believe, and taking responsibility on a daily basis to really discover the life I actually want, then hey, we've got the perfect event for you. So again, head over there, rockygarza.com/achieving more, and check it out. Today we're talking about that the shoulds are killing you. Listen, I have been in the coaching and consulting and speaking business for over a decade. And in the last decade, I can tell you, I have had coaches, I have had consultants, I've read books, I've listened to podcasts, I've been to events, I speak at conferences, I've been to conferences, and I think probably like you, whether you're on your own business journey or you're in your corporate leadership journey, either space, I think probably you, like me, we start with this hustle and this vigor and this excitement, and we're really pumped and we know what we're gonna do, and then at some point we sort of like have this realization that we have been in these seasons where business was awesome, but relationships were terrible. And then we go through a season where relationships were awesome and business was terrible. And then we tried to do a little bit of both and we thought we were figuring it out and both were terrible, right? And probably, if you're anything like myself, rarely did we find a time historically in our past where we felt like we were really doing the life we really wanted. And we find that because it tends to be what is occurring as we repeatedly find ourselves in the shoulds. We repeatedly find ourselves with this language of saying, I should do this and I should do that and I should do this and I need to be doing this and I'm supposed to be doing this. And we can go on down the line, and that's from cultural things, that's from societal things, that's familial things, that's our own self and the own dialogue that we have with ourselves, right? But I think it's really important today, what I want us to make sure that we look at is that we have the ability to recognize and see that what are we doing on a regular basis? What are you actually doing? What do you want to be doing? And really, how does that break down into what you have been telling yourself that you should be doing? Okay? And so I think as we begin this journey together over the next few weeks, as we really dive in and we really look at here, and where we say we're going to look at the achieving more than success system. Again, the first part of that system is the recognizing the shoulds in our life and the recognition that the shoulds are killing us. So let's do this first. Let's really define what a should is. Okay? Let's define what a should is. And again, we talked about these are societal, these are familial, these are personal expectations that have been placed on us, or at times we place on ourselves, that potentially don't really align with our real desire. I think oftentimes the shoulds in our life tend to be the things that are combating against where we are and who we are and what we want in our life, because we have this narrative that's been running about all the things that we should do, right? You should get married, you should not get married, right? You should have kids, you shouldn't have kids. You should climb the ladder, right? But not too fast. Don't climb the ladder, you should be content. You should ask for that promotion. You should get a raise. Oh no, don't push it. You should be satisfied with what you've got. You should put in 80 hours if you really want to do it. You should live the 4-hour work week. And on and on and on and on, and you add any sort of social from social media. You add any sort of component there of what we're supposed to do, and you got to do it in this time. And everybody has the perfect 15-hour morning routine that we're supposed to do, and we're supposed to be hot, but then we're supposed to be cold, but then we're supposed to be in a sauna, but then we're supposed to cold plunge, but then don't get too hot, but drink plenty of water, but then and on and on and on and on and on and on the list goes. And I think what I'm beginning to recognize with clients of ours is that the impact of living in the shoulds, the impact of the shoulds in our life tend to create this level of dissatisfaction, of stress, of feeling loss, of feeling trapped. Shoulds often in our life, when we allow ourselves to be grasped by the shoulds, they're creating this level of discomfort. They're creating this level of stress and dissatisfaction because we're kind of chasing the proverbial rabbit all the time, but the rabbit never stops. And this isn't as much about the quote unquote keeping up with the Joneses. It is to some degree, but I think more than that. It's really about having a lack of clarity about what it is that you really want. And therefore, we default into what it is we think we should want. See, shoulds tend to follow this idea of default. Shoulds tend to follow reactivity. Shoulds tend to follow doing the things we think we are supposed to do rather than doing the things that we actually want to do. And I often hear from folks, Rocky, you can't just do whatever it is that you want. And I understand what you mean. However, I want to challenge you some that I think you can do way more of what it is that you want to do if you were clear about what it is that you actually wanted and less consumed by what it is that you should want. And see, therein lies the opportunity for the shoulds to really grasp and take hold. And that's really how the shoulds begin to kill us. So as we think through this, let's look at some of these personal shoulds. What are some of the personal shoulds that affect us? Again, we talked about personal, societal, familial, cultural. What are some of the personal shoulds, right? I recently had a client of mine, and he came to me and he said, I just feel like I should have a better marriage, right? And when I asked him, I said, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by you should have a better marriage? He said, well, I feel like we're just not close. I feel like we're not connected. We bicker about dumb stuff. We don't really go on regular date nights. We don't. And the more I push and the more that he shared these things that they don't do, what I recognized is that he said he should have a better marriage, but the only thing he could identify for me were the things that he felt like he wasn't doing, and he never really communicated to me what it is that he actually wanted. He never said or identified for himself, this is the marriage that I want. This is the kind of husband and partner that I want to be. He only talked about what it is that he should be doing. See, I think for many high achievers, just like yourself, whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in our partnerships, whether it's in our business, I think that what happens is we get caught in this journey. We get caught in the shoulds so that we can ultimately make the result. We can ultimately make the destination much sexier than we're willing to make the journey. See, what I found with this client is he wasn't really aligning his real desire and his real want with what it is he said he was going to proactively do. He was only communicating to me all the things he believed he should or shouldn't be doing related to his capacity to live reactively to those things. See, his idea of partnership, his idea of marriage was based on everybody else's opinion. My question to you is, in where you are in your life right now, is your current life based on what you should do, or is it based on what you actually want to do? And it's important that you put the word actually in there, because I know how human brains work. And if I say based on what you want to do, we all go to a dream fantasy scenario that is not actually real for us. I'm not saying attainable. I'm saying it's not actually what you want. But if you're willing to begin to ask yourself the question, what is it that I actually want? We can begin to remove some of the shoulds away from where we are and what it is that we think we're supposed to do, and it allows us to step more into what it is that we really want to do, right? We recently had a post we had on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's wild to me because it was a reel about going on date night and going on date night with my wife and what we ask ourselves on date night, and it's at like 6 million views or something across platforms off Facebook and Instagram both. And it kind of struck me of all the things. I mean, listen, I've been making and creating content for a long time. I've been on Instagram since it came out. I've been a pretty early adopter on posting and so on. And so it struck me. This was kind of like our first like viral moment I've had. And the first viral moment, I mean, I've been in the personal and professional development space for a decade, on platforms for a decade. And the first viral moment was about asking my wife how well she feels loved by me and vice versa on a date night. And the comment section was wild. But it kind of hit me. Why was the comment section wild? And I think it was wild because I think either people heard it and thought, wow, I love that. I want to try something like that. If I can build the relationship and partnership I want something like that. And it created this level of excitement and encouragement. I think there were also lots of people on there, and there were lots of haters on there, and there were lots of negative comments on there. Because I think they thought, why is this guy telling me what I should do? And even if it's what they wanted, they were unwilling to allow themselves to be honest with themselves and say, this is what I want. And instead, they got defensive, on their heels, and reactive. Because they thought I was saying, in order to have a great marriage, you should do it like me. See, I often find in the personal and professional development spaces, one of the biggest misconceptions, and I think one of the biggest downfalls to our industry right now, is that we have a lot of voices saying, if you want to be successful, be like me. And I believe one of the greatest services I can provide to you is telling you that if you want to build a successful life, it should look like you. And I cannot encourage you enough to consider that. And that's how we begin to see and recognize and unpack the shoulds. So do you know what you want? Do you know what you actually want? Do you know what those things are? Can you wrap your head around, have you ever even begun to ask yourself the question, what is it that you want? See, I think the shoulds typically cause us to do one of two things. The shoulds either cause us to freeze and not take any action, or the shoulds cause us to act erratically and reactionary, causing us to do things we wouldn't typically do, but we feel as though we have no other way around them. So let's unpack these two things. Again, number one, I think at times the shoulds are causing us to freeze. The shoulds in your life are causing you to freeze and to create inactivity. They're causing you to not act at all, right? And what I mean by that is they cause us to freeze, to go, I should send these emails and not eat dinner with my family. And then we sit upstairs for 10 minutes and we miss dinner, but we don't send emails because we're not sure, and we know we're letting our family down, and most importantly, we're letting ourselves down because we actually want to live life like that, but we feel like we should send the emails because someone else on our team sent an email with a timestamp of 6:17 p.m., and therefore we feel like we should be a good employee because we should be like them, and we freeze. And then ultimately the fallout of that is the people in your life that you care about most, the areas of your life that you care about deeply, both suffer because we froze. It looks like I should stay in this relationship and because I should stay in it, I should be grateful that somebody cares for me or likes me or loves me, and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be a friendship. It can be a relationship at work or a team that you are on or a leader that you have, and you go, I should just be grateful for it, which means I just should stay here, and I don't stand up for myself, and I freeze and I get locked in and I get paralyzed and I get nervous, and then that sort of anxiety takes over and I'm not sure what to do, and so I lock up. And then we find ourselves in a position for a longer extended period of time than we actually wanted. And a third component or example we could talk about in freezing is I should just stay quiet. I don't know if I even really deserve a seat at this table. See, I think I've often found in my life, and to be transparent with you, it is something that I am very much aware of and that I am wrestling with constantly, is that I should just stay in my lane, and I should just be satisfied with what I have, and I should just make sure. I should just do enough to make enough money to cover bills and take care of family, and I should just do that and really shouldn't push it too hard. And sometimes the shoulds cause me to freeze. And it's not until I go back to redefining and reminding myself about what it is that I actually want, do I sort of find the effort and find the energy and find the vigor to get back into it again. And for some of us, we're in the same spot. The second thing the shoulds cause us to do, if we look at it and say the shoulds are killing us, the shoulds cause us to act erratically. They cause us to act reactionary. They cause us to sort of freak out a little bit. They cause us to, we say things to ourselves like, well, they should just understand how frustrated I am and just give me a break. Like, I know I should do that, but I'm going to do this instead. Right? They cause us to act erratically. Like I know I should send it now, but I'm going to do it later. It's fine. I know I should take care of that now, but I'm just too stressed out. I know I should work out more. I know I should eat better. I know I should take a walk. I know I should follow up. I know I should text a friend. I know I should check in on my grandma. I know I should call my mom. I know I should have that one-on-one with that employee. I know I should give that feedback I haven't given. I know I should do some coaching with that team member that looks like they could use some help in their performance, but instead I act erratically because I'm afraid I'm not going to do it the right way, even though I know I should do it. I've yet to define what I actually want to do in my leadership journey because I'm just going to chalk it up to, quote unquote, being authentic. This is just who I am. And so just who we are gets rattled with shoulds. We don't necessarily have the ability, nor have we taken the time to define what it is that we want. Some days you're going 100 miles an hour, and some days you feel like you're stuck. Some days in your leadership journey, you feel like you are going to do everything in your power to possibly move in the direction that you think you're supposed to or you should, and we inevitably mistake activity for progress, and so we feel busy instead of full, and we've expended a lot of energy as opposed to really moving where we want to go. And so I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you today to ask yourself, how are the shoulds killing you? How are the shoulds in your life wreaking havoc in your family? How are the shoulds in your life wreaking havoc when it comes to your profession? How are the shoulds in your life causing you to either freeze or causing you to act erratically? And can you determine and come up with what is it that you want? What is it you actually want? Not what you should do and not what you should want, but what do you actually want? I often find the greatest antidote for the shoulds is a clear understanding of what it is that I actually want, and the beginning to understand myself and my story and the responsibility that I will take on a daily basis to pursue the present, to live daily, and to recognize that life is full in the journey, but I would typically be let down if I only ever pursue the destination. I really appreciate you. How the shoulds are killing you, part 1. Thank you so much for being here as always. And as a reminder, let's keep going.